Hey, Pesha, we're going live any second now. Who do you want to do a shout out to?
My shout out is to all the artists and creators. I believe in you, and your art can easily support you.
Artists and creators, here we go. Hey guys, another amazing guest today. Peshah Galen is with us. Peshah is an acclaimed artist and jewelry designer who uses her talent to make a difference in the world through community projects. With her diverse background in business, the arts, and psychology, she creates beautiful jewelry designs while raising funds for nonprofit organizations and encouraging other artists to affiliate themselves with causes that can change the world. She's an accomplished artist and designer, draws inspiration from her experience and education to empower others to live their best lives. I absolutely love that. And Pesha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I love the fact I'm an artist myself, a musician and
Mhm.
photographer, and
Mhm.
you really struck me when we were talking before about the fact that you do not believe in the starving artist. Uh,
Right.
t-
Right.
preach about that. Let me hear about
Yes,
that.
I will. So that it's a terminology that's so well defined that people, artists and creators, will naturally think one, they can't market their work and they're starving artists. But it what used to be in history and not that long ago, that artists were actually very revered. They were esteemed in society, and somehow through mostly a lot of it came through the Industrial Revolution. Now artists have this mindset where they think they're starving artists and their art cannot support them. And it's a misnomer. And it's one that hurts a lot of artists and creators. And it's actually not valid at all.
Where did that whole term come from? Starving artists. Like, why did artists start to believe that they could not make a living with their art?
Yes, so a big contributing factor was the Industrial Revolution, as it's so coined. And that was because before that, families and communities lived together, and artists were part of that society and community. But with the Industrial Revolution, when families were separated a lot, communities were broken apart by the natural evolution of them moving to where the work was, then in that time, artists went instead from being at the pinnacle and revered for their gifts, talents, and abilities that were needed in the community, then instead they became connected to how can they sell their art. And that's where the terminology starving artist came in to a great degree. It's actually really recent. And a good way to quantify that personally is, for example, you have favorite musicians and photographers,
Mhm.
I'm sure, because that's your love. And when you think back to the people that you so revere in those art forms, there's things about them that stand out, the way they acted, the way they dressed, how they were known. They were known. And that's how it is for artists, but that's how it hasn't been that way recently. And then the tragic part of it is that people that are creators have purchased that idea without knowing they've purchased the idea of a starving artist, and it becomes how the filter they live their life through. But it's just a belief, it's just a statement, it's actually not valid in any way.
You just wrote a book, right? What 10 ways to no longer being a depressed artist,
Right.
and
Right.
you talk about this whole concept of actually making money with your art, and specifically working with charities and other communities to get your work out there into the public. Tell us
Right.
more about that too, because that's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah, 10. So the my book, it'll be released on Amazon and Kindle by Monday. It's 10 ways to no longer being a depressed artist. And a core pinnacle in that, it discusses what we just did, Michael, about the starving artist and where we've purchased that and are living that out. But also a core, the most important aspect of how any artist in any genre can, at this moment when they hear your and my voice, decide that they're going to work on community projects, and that's how they're going to market their art. And I'll explain what that is. At this exact moment, that artist and creator can take themselves from thinking that they have to market their art and sell it to actually connecting with community. We can make artists and creators their lives the way that they were before the Industrial Revolution, and we can do it in this moment.
That
So,
that
yeah.
is power right there. Tell us about a project that you did with the community and what impact it had on you and what impact it had on the community, how other people can do this.
Absolutely, I'd love to. So I've been worked with a lot of organizations and singular causes. I want to make sure to communicate that if people have, it doesn't have to be an organization that they help. It can actually be an effort that they help. Say there's someone with medical needs and you want to create your cause around that. So directly, one of the organizations that I designed a community project for is Advocates for Freedom, and they help people to be freed from human trafficking. And so what part of what they did was they had stiletto walks where the men and the women would put on stiletto heels and walk, and people would fund this stiletto walk. And then those funds would go back to Advocates for Freedom to help people be freed from human trafficking. So Advocates for Freedom is one of the organizations that I designed for, and I designed a high heel earrings and necklace for that. And that signifies the stiletto walks. And so whenever someone purchases those designs, 30% of the proceeds goes to Advocates for Freedom to help free people from human exploitation.
Let's look at some of the artwork that you've done, and because I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Thank
And
you. That's the first one that I was referring to, Michael. That's a design for Advocates for Freedom with a high heel.
um,
Tree of Life. There's a design that I just created, that same exact Tree of Life with an amethyst accent. And 30% of those proceeds go to the African Rangers who do not have the supplies that they need in order to safely take care of the ranges in Africa.
it's nice.
That's not a community project, but it's a Kabbalistic design that I created.
It's really pretty though.
Thank you. This is for an organization called Back Bay Mission, and their motif is the shrimp. They are obviously on the bay in Mississippi, and so 30% of the proceeds. There's a necklace and earrings that actually goes with a bracelet also, and they help people for everything from poverty and homelessness to veterans. Basically, anyone that's not being served properly. That's the clientele that they gear towards supporting and helping and freeing.
Yeah.
Native
The thing that's
American.
amazing about this, and this is where I want to dive in because people listen, they're going, "Oh my gosh, she's like famous and she's got this she can work with all these organizations." But how
Right.
do other people they go like, "I can't work with an organization." I mean,
Yes.
surely they can work with organizations and build their art into that
Yes.
organization. So talk about that just for a second as we look at a few more of these.
Yeah, absolutely. So nobody's really famous anyway. This one is for fatherless and widows. It's a Tree of Life organization for eternity, and
Hmm.
they help the fatherless and widows to have their needs met. So it's very sweet that you say I'm famous, but before I was famous, I wasn't famous, and there's a lot of people that are more famous. So how does anybody do it? The same exact way I did it. I'm actually just a little Jewish girl from New Jersey that walked into an organization and said, I'm an artist. I I designed jewelry. I was doing other things at that time, but I chose jewelry as my vehicle for the community projects. And I walked in and I introduced myself. Was I scared? Yes. Was I overwhelmed? Yes. Did I think I couldn't do it? We feel that way about a lot of things in life. And that's what you do. That's why it's so perfect, Michael, because community projects is actually, as artists, instead of thinking I have to sell my art to this organization, no, you just go and talk to someone. You're talking. That's what you're doing. And you're offering to them, I want to do something to assist your organization. And I want to do through the vehicle of my art. And this is what's so beautiful. One, the people that you speak with are going to be floored that you would just offer them to help. Two, they're going to have so many ideas for your art form. They're going to immediately start saying, well, we have an event and you're a photographer, Michael. Can you come there and donate 30%? We'll resell that. We'll sell the photographs to people
Hmm.
that come to this event. Is that okay? And there you go. They're going to work with you because They want community because they're about community.
I got you. So the first step is one, get over your fear.
Or don't get over your fear. I wouldn't even, it would be lovely if you can, but please do not wait to get over your fear. The fear goes down as you interact with people. As soon as they
Ah,
start to talk, the fear goes down. And my undergrad degree is in art therapy, so I was a mental health counselor. I don't suggest, it would be lovely to not have fear, but that's a deep subject of even just how our bodies will, something new will say, oh, it's new, you can't do that, and cause fear. So fear's okay.
who do they need to find in the organization? Do they need to talk to the president or CEO of the organization, or just somebody working at a counter in a store? Who do they
Just
talk
start.
to?
Yeah, just starts. Like, say it's an organization, and for example, I'll use Advocates for Freedom. I just called them and I said, my name's Pesha, I'm an artist, I'd like to help your organization. I just made a phone call, and whomever answered, and I said, just said, who can I speak with in a way that I can donate? And they said, oh, it's donations and contributions. And then they connected me to someone. And then I tell them the same story. I'm an artist. I want to help your organization. I design jewelry. I'd like to design some for you and donate. And then people will introduce you to other people in the organization. So it can be an organization. It can also be if there's something in your community. If there's a center set up where they give meals out to the children during the summer, or it could be something very different, like a local community garden, and they need money raising funds for that. And you can say, I'll set up at the gardens one Sunday a month, and I'll tell them about your gardens and your cause, and everything that I collect, I'll give you 30% of it. It
Now,
can be very organic.
do people, the artists themselves,
Mhm.
often think about when they're working with charities? It's like, oh, I've got to discount my work and sell the work for less than I would. So it sounds like you're suggesting sell your work for the normal price, but
Right.
the way you got in the door was basically paying your salesperson, the
Mhm.
organization, a
Mhm.
30% commission.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to say strongly do not lower your price, because there's the people that are in the organization. Let's say it's you and myself, Michael, and we're connected to an organization. We're actually homeless and they're helping us. But the people that are going to purchase the art and make the contributions and donations are the people that support that organization. So they already have in their lives an allocated amount that they're going to give to organizations to help. So it's a disservice for the artist to lower the price, and actually the organization or cause ends up receiving less. So don't, keep your prices where they need to be. Put in there what you need for your time, for your whatever materials went into it. Keep
Mhm.
your prices reasonable. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you decide, and how would somebody else also decide, like what organizations to work with? Is it passion projects? Because you might run out
Yes.
of shelters to work with, or
Right.
like I do pet photography shelters and stuff like that. How do you
Uh-huh.
decide who to work with?
Right. So one of the quotes on the back of my book is let's marry our art to our hearts and connect with our communities again. Marry our art to our heart and connect with our community again. So it doesn't have to even be an organization. I want to make sure that the artists and creators listening to this understand it doesn't have to be Advocates for Freedom. It doesn't have to be the fatherless and the widow. It can be simply something that you really love and believe in. Say you have an autistic child and you want to help autistic children, then you can set up at a market that you usually set up at and
Mhm.
take a percentage of that, tell them about the autistic organization and donate it to them. So you can do it on your own, you can do it affiliated with organizations, or you can create a cause that's something that just means a lot to you.
I love the whole idea of looking at the organization as a sales vehicle for the artist.
Mhm. Right,
And it just makes it so much easier because now you have hired an artist on commission essentially
right.
to go out there and get you in front of the right people.
And
So
also to tag to that, I 100% agree. And then, so now if I ask you this question, Michael, what do organizations and causes need more than anything?
they need
Money,
more
right?
donations and people
Yeah.
giving donations.
Yeah, so here we are. Here we are, happy to serve.
Yeah.
And I want to share something else. Tell me any artist or creator that you've come across in your lifetime that is anything other than tender-hearted, loving, kind, and wants to help. That's what artists are. They're the sensitive ones. We want to help, but because we feel different, we think there's no way to help. We're separate from this entire system. And that's just like the starving artist. It's just a thought, but it's not accurate.
Yeah. Let's go over that again because as we end out the program here, that thought of the starving artist needs to be killed.
Absolutely. It needs to be killed. So if we look at it in a very methodical manner, there was a time when artists were not starving artists. There was a time when artists were at the pinnacle of society. Open an art history book and you see that artists were exalted. And now we're in a time when the terminology starving artists became normal and artists and creators have bought that in as their identity. And I'm saying that's not so. If we weren't starving artists before, then we need to stop speaking that and we need to start connecting with our community by helping others through causes and organizations. And that's the key that turns the lock, that brings us back into the community and exalts us in our art and helps the world.
Absolutely. I so want people to get in touch with you. And if we can get rid of that term starving artists and just
Yes,
get artists back to working members in society or making money just like everyone else.
absolutely. And the world needs them because, as you said during our meet and greet, if you're listening to music at the gym, that's art. If you're going for a walk in the rain, that's art. If you're baking cookies with your children tonight, that's art. There cannot be starving artists. It's a misnomer. Let's be kind to ourselves, love ourselves, and call ourselves community projects instead.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. So as far as your jewelry, people can find your jewelry at your 1213. By the way,
Mhm.
I know someone's got to be asking, like, what is 1213?
What is
And
1213? Yeah, as I met, I'm a little Jewish girl from New Jersey. And so 1213 is a verse in Ecclesiastes. It's in the Old Testament. And it's when King Solomon was trying to figure out what we all are. Why am I here? And what is the purpose of my life? And so Ecclesiastes 1213 is the response that was given to King Solomon by God, which said, the purpose of everyone's life and the conclusion of all matters is to love God and love one another. And so everybody has a different idea about God, as everybody should. But the purpose of a man's life, of a woman's life, of our lives is to love and spread that love. Yep.
there you go. So 1213jewelry.com is a good way to get in touch with you. You can
Yes.
also get in touch with you on Instagram and on Facebook. For Instagram, you do have the 1213.jewelry, and on Facebook, it's simply 1213jewelry.
Right.
Okay. And then for all the people who want to get in touch with you and get rid of this whole stigma of starving artists,
Artists.
and we've got Swanky Genius. I love that name.
That's yeah, Swanky Genius is where I do mentoring and coaching. I've helped a lot of artists to take their art form and they were positive. They could not develop a business out of it. So Swanky Genius is where I mentor and counsel, and also where you can get your copy of 10 Ways to No Longer Being a Depressed Artist.
I am all on board with your mission to get out there and make artists uh,
Yeah,
profitable and part of a society
absolutely.
that's actually getting paid for what they do.
Yeah, and where
Because
they feel included in it, like they need to be included. We there was a hiccup in history. Let's let it be a hiccup. Let's let it be a hiccup. Let's just let that fall out and pick up before the Industrial Revolution and do it in an even fuller way. Let's embrace our community, help our community, and naturally that will lift us up as artists.
I love it. Pasha, thank you for being on. This has been an amazing, mind-opening, and just interview and talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's honored. I'm honored to have been on it. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. See you next time.